Hi friends, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to our Read Aloud for today. Today we're going to continue building on our schema of learning about apples and training our brains as readers to ask questions as we're reading in order to understand what we're reading better. That is what we call comprehension. So we started our book yesterday. We actually read the whole thing. It's called How Do Apples Grow? This is our nonfiction text about apples written by Betsy Moore. So that means the information in this text is not made up. It is real information. We took also a look at our learning target, which says, I can answer questions about apples. We're going to read our questions today. We're going to read 3 of them and then go back to our text, to the pages it tells us to look at where we can find that information, and then we will add it to our flip chart here. So if you have a piece of paper and a pencil and crayons at home, you may join me in doing this activity. If you do not, which hopefully you do for all your other activities, but if you do not have those materials, that's okay. You can just follow along with me here, okay? But if you do have those, go ahead and grab it now so that when we're ready to add to our chart, you have your paper, pencil, and crayons with you. All right, while you're grabbing those, I'm going to flip to our KWL chart, our chart about what we know, want to know, and what we've learned about apples. Okay, so yesterday we also created our KW part of our KWL chart. We wrote some facts about what we know about apples. We wrote some questions about what we want to learn about apples. And today we're going to add some information about what we have learned. So I said yesterday that we were going to do this at the end of our book. Well, we read the whole book yesterday. So today what we're going to do is add 2 details, and then we'll wait to add the 3rd one until we finish going through all of our questions and looking at our book to answer those. So what we know, we said that apples are red, yellow, and green. You can buy them at the grocery store, and they grow on trees. Very good. That's information we know. Here are some questions about what we wanted to learn. What season do apples grow? Who picks the apples? And what do people use apples for? Okay, so what we learned in our book yesterday was that apples start as what? What do they start as? Seeds. So I'm going to put start as seeds. Okay, after they're a seed and they're planted and they start to grow, what do they grow into? A seedling. So seedling comes next. Then what's the next stage of our apple life cycle? Seed, seedling, growing into a blossom. So apple blossom. And then our apple blossom grows into apples. Very good. And we should say too, the seedling grows into a tree, which then grows the apple blossoms. And how many years did it say that it takes an apple tree to grow? Up to 6 years. 6 years for an apple tree to grow. Okay. And what's another fact that we learned? We learned that apples grow through the cycle. So we just named all the parts of that cycle. It takes 6 years for the apple tree to grow. We haven't learned what a cycle is, that word. So that is something that we will learn as we continue to read other apple nonfiction texts. But another fact that we learned yesterday was that farmers harvest the apples, right? So when we say they harvest the apples, that means that they pick them and deliver them in bushels, and they take care of the apples so that they can get the apples where they need to for us to get them, okay? So we learned the cycle. The tree takes 6 years to grow. Farmers harvest the apples. Let's go back and answer our questions now. What season do apples grow? In the fall, right? We did read that in the book. But yesterday I was mentioning too, I kind of added some extra questions in my head about this as a reader. I was thinking also about, when do they plant the seeds? When do the farmers plant the seeds in order for them to grow? In our book, towards the end, it shows us that these are a picture of the apples in the summertime, and then this is the picture of them in the fall. So that means the book doesn't tell us exactly when they plant them, but that's a clue to me as the reader that since they are already grown in those seasons, that they still had to have been planted before summer. So that leaves the spring and the winter time. And using my schema, I know that we don't plant apple seeds in the winter time because they wouldn't have rain and all that sunshine to grow. So I can infer that it's springtime, but I'm not going to put that up here yet because I haven't read that information in this book. Another nonfiction book that we might read this week may answer that question. So we know apples grow in the fall. Who picks the apples? We answered it right here even. Farmers. Farmers pick the apples. We love our farmers. And what do people use apples for? What did the book say people use apples for? For eating, but they eat them in slices. So it's used for eating sliced up off the core, which means eating the whole apple right off the main apple core, and then also eating applesauce or making it too. Okay, good job. So as readers, this is what our brains are doing. We're making connections. We're using our schema to understand what we're learning better. What we're doing in kindergarten is writing it down so that we can practice this to train our brains to do it. Okay, so I know it's a lot of listening today, but that's sometimes part of it, and you guys are rock stars. So looking at our nonfiction text, my nonfiction text has page numbers across the bottom. 1, it's down, whoop, it's falling apart, so it's hard to show you. 1, 2, 3, and all the way to the end with different numbers, okay? So I'm going to use those numbers to help me when I'm navigating looking for the answers to these questions, okay? So our first question that we're going to look at, what's important to us, it says, where do the apple seeds grow? It tells me I can find this answer on page 1. It says to use the photograph on page 1 to help me figure out where the apple seeds grow. So I'm going to open my book to page 1. And, whoops, I'm going to look at the pictures. I see an apple with the seeds, and then I also see the farmers here. So I can infer as a reader, using my schema, knowing that farmers work on farms, that apples must grow, or the apple seeds must grow on a farm, right? So I am going to, and this is where you're going to draw with me. If you have your pencil and crayons and paper, I'm going to flip this up, and underneath here, I'm going to draw a picture of a farm. So my quick little picture is just going to be a picture of a barn, since I know barns are on farms, and then I'm going to draw a little apple seed next to it. So with my red here, no Picasso, but you know, I do my best. This is the barn door, and I'll put some hay up there, and then plant my little apple seed. Right there. Okay, so we know that apples grow on farms. Farms. Okay, according to our book. Can apple seeds be planted in other places than a farm? Yeah, definitely. But we're learning how they grow on the farm, so that's why we enter it with that. Okay, if you are following along and drawing a picture and need more time to do that, go ahead and pause the video and continue drawing. If you are ready to move on, we're going to look at our next question. It says, what grows from the blossoms? It tells us we can find this answer on page 4. So now I'm going to flip to page 4. Oh, there's a 2, there's a 3, and there's a 4. So it says, in the spring, the apple tree grows blossoms. The blossoms are flowers that will grow into, here's our answer, apples. So what grows from the blossoms? Apples. So I'm going to flip this up, and on yours, you can do the same. I'm going to draw a picture of an apple. I'm going to draw a green one, but you may choose to draw red or yellow. I'm going to put a little stem on it, and I'm going to put a little leaf on it, and then I'm going to label it. So just like we saw in our book, our captions are what matches the picture. So I'm going to label it like I did with farm, and I'm going to spell the word apple. A, P, O, L, and I'm going to put an S on it too, because the question asks, what grows from the blossoms? And the answer is apples. Okay, very good. If you need more time to draw that picture, go ahead and pause the video and do so. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our last question for today, and then tomorrow we'll revisit the other questions. Our last question says, what do apples look like after they have grown all summer? It says that we can use the picture and caption on page 5 to figure out this answer. What do apples look like after they've grown all summer? So turning to page 5, as a reader, I'm looking for clues in the pictures and the words to help me figure this out. So it says in our words, they're small when they begin growing, they grow and get bigger all summer. So our question again is, what do apples look like after they have grown all summer long? Look at this picture down here. It says apples that have grown all summer. Are they the smaller ones or the bigger ones? They're the bigger ones, right? So again, we're going to draw another apple under here. This time I'm going to draw a red one, just switching it up. And I'm going to draw a bigger apple to show that after the summertime, that's plenty of time for the apple to grow. So it's bigger and it's ripe. So as you're drawing your apple, make sure that your apple is bigger to show that it's fully grown. Okay, I'm going to add my stem and a leaf to it. and then I'm going to label it. So this time I'm going to put big apple. B-I-G. So ba-ba-ba-ba. B-I-I-I. G-I-G. And then I can use my word from yesterday to help me spell the word apple. So I'm going to finger space after my G to give myself some room, and I'm going to write A-P-O-O-L. Big apple. Okay? Very good job. If you need more time to illustrate that picture, you can go ahead and pause the video. The video is actually about to stop. But you guys did a great job again today training your brains to be good thinkers, drawing schema, making connections to the book, and learning about apples. We will revisit it tomorrow to answer our last 3 questions. Great job today, friends. See you tomorrow.